All right, so here's another question from Peter Marsh. I think I'm running out of questions, Peter. The problem is I didn't keep track of the questions when you sent them to me. I just kind of jotted them all down, and then I wasn't crossing them out. And I think I lost one of the post-it notes. That's just a nightmare. Anyway, one question I know I have not answered was, why do I prefer Conan comic books over other comic books? Conan the Barbarian, of course, not Conan O'Brien. I mean, he probably has his own comic book. Um, I've always been a fan. So as a kid, in my early years, when I wore a younger man's shoes, I I was a huge science fiction and fantasy were the two main things that I read when I was like 9, 10, 11 years old. At 12, I found Dean Koontz in horror, but I still always read some fantasy and some sci-fi. But Conan the Barbarian, those old paperbacks, man, those were phenomenal. I bought them with my own money, read them, loved them. And then in probably about 76, 77, somewhere around there, I was 7, 8 years old, I started collecting comic books. Every week, we would go, my parents would go to a little mom and pop store in Belford, New Jersey called Wasserman's. And they had a huge rack of comic books, literally right next to all the dirty magazines. And, they were 25-cent, 35-cent back then. And my parents would always give us, me and my brother, like $1 to buy some comic books. And I don't know what issue it was now, but it was maybe like in the 50s. And I bought my first Conan the Barbarian. I was like, holy crap, there's a comic book of this. And every month from that point on, I would buy it all the way, Marvel Comics, all the way through me growing up. And that first run was at 275 issues. As I got older, teenagers started going to comic book little, VFW shows, stuff like that, me and my buddy Frank. And I always looked for Conan. I had my little list, and I looked for the ones that I needed. I never got any of like the first 10 issues. Nobody ever had them. And I'm sure they weren't worth anything back then anyway. I mean, I was going through like 25-cent bins, 50-cent bins, maybe dollar bins, and finding Conan comic books. And, the character's just awesome. The writing was great. The artwork was great. Just everything about it. And it was different. It wasn't, like I was a fan of superheroes, Iron Man, and Captain America, and Spider-Man, stuff like that. I'm a Marvel guy, not a DC guy at all. And so I was a fan of that stuff. I was a fan of the superhero stuff. But I just loved every month getting that new Conan the Barbarian. And I got the magazine Savage Sword of Conan. Anything with Conan on it, when I was a teenager, I was buying. And luckily back then, it was before everything was so damn collectible. So you could buy everything for pennies. There was a flea market near my Aunt Kim's house. We went one time. The guy had comic books, and it's like 25-cent box, and there was a bunch of Conans in it. And I was excited, and I was like, all right, I start pulling them, and he's like, listen, give me $5, you can have the whole box. So, Dad, give me $5. And my dad was a collector growing up. My dad, not a comic book, he was a baseball card collector, so he understood that was a score. And so I have a complete run of Marvel Conan, the original series, and I have all the Dark Horse ones. I don't have all. I guess I do have all the Titans. I haven't read all of them yet, but anything Conan comic book related, I go out and grab. So great question, Peter. Thank you. Got me all excited. Now maybe I'll go read a Conan comic book. If you have any questions for me, could be about anything, let me know. Armand Rosamilia at gmail.com. Post on YouTube. Post the question on my Patreon, wherever. Find me on Facebook. Find me on Twitter. I'm not going to say X. It's Twitter. And watch me live writing on Twitch. I write live 3 or more days a week as well. Post a question there.